A suburban HOA president thought she was cutting a harmless wire in her yard. For minutes later, an entire police station went offline, and what I found next exposed a hidden federal network and a crime no one saw coming. It began like any ordinary Tuesday morning in Maple Glen, a quiet suburb where the biggest drama usually involved lawn disputes or missing Amazon packages. The streets were calm, the sky was clear, and people were heading to work. But at 8:16 a.m., something happened that no one in the town could explain, and within minutes, it would spiral into chaos. Inside the Maple Glen Police Department, the day had just started. Officers were logging in, dispatchers were settling at their desks, and routine calls were coming through. Then, without warning, the dispatch screens went black. The radios cut out. The phone lines went dead. At first, everyone thought it was just a glitch, maybe an update gone wrong. But when even the backup power servers failed to connect, panic started to spread through the room. The department had lost all digital communication, not just Wi-Fi or phone service, but their connection to the state emergency grid. No one could send or receive 911 calls. Patrol cars couldn't check license plates or receive live updates. Even the station's internal security feeds froze. It was as if someone had flipped a switch and erased the department's ability to communicate with the outside world. Down the street, I was sitting at my desk with a cup of coffee, watching the network monitors. My name's Ethan Cole, network administrator for the town's public safety systems. When my phone started vibrating nonstop, I thought it was a drill. But then the police chief's voice came through, sharp and urgent. Ethan, we've got a full communications failure. Everything's dark. Get here now. I didn't even grab my coat. I ran straight to my truck and drove toward the station. As I sped past the neighborhood of Willow Lane, I noticed a few work cones near the curb, probably left by contractors. I didn't think much of it then. But later, I'd learned that the real problem started right there. By the time I reached the police station, the situation was critical. The chief was pale, officers were shouting across the room, and the entire system was down. Nobody knew it yet, but the cause wasn't a storm, a hacker, or a power surge. It was a pair of gardening shears and one very determined woman from the Maple Grove HOA. The moment I arrived at the police station, I set up my diagnostic terminal and started tracing the outage. The signal drop wasn't random. It pointed to a specific section of fiber somewhere near Willow Lane, about half a mile from the department. That line connected the police station, fire department, and city hall to the wider emergency grid. If that section was damaged, it could explain everything. I grabbed my toolkit and drove down to Willow Lane, a spotless neighborhood of neatly trimmed hedges, identical beige houses, and mailboxes that all looked like they'd come from the same catalog. It was the kind of place where the homeowners association ruled everything, from the color of your shutters to the length of your grass. When I pulled up near lot 14, the signal loss spiked on my scanner. That's where the problem was. I stepped out of the truck and noticed something strange. A small patch of freshly disturbed dirt near a flower bed, right beside a green fiber junction marker. Before I could get closer, I heard a voice from the porch. "Can I help you?" By the time I confirmed the fiber had been cut, the police station had already been offline for nearly 15 minutes. That might not sound like much, but in emergency communications, 15 minutes is an eternity. The town's 911 system depended entirely on that network connection. Without it, dispatchers couldn't locate callers, radio channels couldn't sync, and patrol cars were basically flying blind. If an accident, fire, or violent crime occurred right now, no one could respond efficiently. I called the chief immediately. "It's bad," I told him. "The fiber's been physically cut. I'm going to try to reroute through a secondary line." "How long?" he asked. "If I'm lucky, 10 minutes. I grabbed my laptop, opened the emergency diagnostics panel, and tethered into the nearest live node. My plan was to reroute the town's data through a state-level backup grid, a slower but secure path used for regional emergencies. But when I tried to authenticate, I saw red error codes flooding the screen. The backup was overloaded. Apparently, several other counties were also running maintenance that morning. The bandwidth just wasn't there. I wiped the sweat from my hands, heart racing. There was one other option, a system that almost no one knew existed. 2 years ago, I'd helped install a federal emergency relay node during a Homeland Security pilot program. It was a hidden connection buried under City Hall, meant to provide critical infrastructure continuity in case of disaster. It wasn't supposed to be used without clearance. But this was an emergency. I called Grant Porter, the county tech coordinator. Grant, it's Ethan. Maple Glen PD is down. I need permission to jump through the DHS relay. That's not standard procedure. We don't have time for procedure. The town's blind. He went silent for a moment. Then, quietly, do it. I'll cover the paperwork. I typed in the override command. Reroute/PRT. 72/no DHS/active. The system paused, then flickered green. Within 4 minutes, Maple Glen's emergency communications were back online. Radios beeped. Dispatchers cheered. Officers shouted in relief. The chief clapped me on the shoulder. Ethan, you just saved this town. But when I glanced out the window toward Willow Lane, I saw Karen Wilcox standing by her mailbox, watching me from a distance. Her arms were crossed. Her expression? Cold, furious, and unblinking. Something told me this wasn't over. By the afternoon, the crisis had finally settled. The phones were back, the servers were stable, and the police chief could breathe again. But the question hanging over everyone was simple. How could one person cut a wire and take down an entire department? The answer should have been easy. A mistake, a misunderstanding. But what happened next made it clear that this wasn't just a careless accident. It was something darker. Around 2 p.m., the glass doors of the Maple Glen Police Department swung open. In marched Karen Wilcox, wearing sunglasses, holding a clipboard, and radiating righteous anger. I'd like to file a complaint, she said loudly enough for the whole lobby to hear. Your technician trespassed on HOA property and destroyed my garden. The chief looked at her, exhausted. Ma'am, that technician was repairing a critical government line. You cut a fiber cable that connects to law enforcement systems. Karen blinked, her face twisting in confusion. That's ridiculous. It was just a wire. The city said they weren't using it anymore. The chief raised an eyebrow. Who told you that? Karen hesitated. It was in the HOA files. The city marked it as inactive months ago. That single sentence made every head in the room turn. The police IT log showed the line had been active every day for 3 years. So where did her inactive record come from? Later that night, when I checked the network's digital maintenance logs, I found something alarming. A chunk of data had been deleted from the town's infrastructure management system. Not corrupted, not missing, manually erased. Entire entries describing the Willow Lane fiber path were gone, replaced by a single update note. Line decommissioned, non-essential. The timestamp was from 3 weeks earlier, and the access credentials used belonged to someone outside the city's IT team. The breach didn't come from my department. It came from the HOA's property management software. Somehow, their internal system had been synced, illegally, with the town's utility database. Karen wasn't lying. She really believed the cable was inactive. But that meant someone with higher access had fed her false information. Someone who wanted that line gone. The deeper I dug, the clearer it became. Karen might not have been a mastermind. She was just the one holding the shears. Weeks passed, and life in Maple Glen slowly returned to normal, at least on the surface. The police systems were stable again, the federal network reroute had held, and the town had learned a very expensive lesson about harmless garden maintenance. But something about Karen's story kept bothering me. The deleted logs. The false inactive status. The unauthorized data access from the HOA's software. It was too clean, too specific. Someone had gone through a lot of trouble to make that fiber look disposable. So I kept digging. Working late one night in the IT office, I reviewed archived access record from the month before the outage. That's when I noticed a familiar name buried in the digital trail. Trevor Lance, listed as an external consultant on a utilities contract. The same Trevor Lance who happened to sit on the Maple Grove HOA board and own a small company called Lance Construction and Infrastructure Services. At first, I thought it was a coincidence. Then I found something worse. Lance's company had recently applied for a private broadband installation permit in Maple Glen. His proposal aimed to replace obsolete municipal lines, the very ones he'd labeled inactive in the system. The pieces clicked together like gears in a lock. Trevor had used his HOA access to reach the property management software, which had limited integration with the town's infrastructure system. From there, he falsified the data, marking the police line as abandoned. Then he'd quietly convince Karen that it was safe to remove old wires. She did the dirty work, and when the line went down, he planned to blame the city for negligence, forcing them to contract him for the repairs. But when I rerouted through the federal backup network, his plan collapsed. The DHS node logged every system reroute, every deleted entry, and every false tag. Within a week, federal auditors traced the edit straight to his IP address. Karen was charged with destruction of public property, though she claimed ignorance. Trevor wasn't so lucky. He faced federal charges for tampering with government infrastructure and falsifying data records. When the case closed, the police chief thanked me again. If you hadn't caught that reroute in time, he said, we'd still be in the dark. A few months later, I drove past Willow Lane. The lawns were perfect again, but now a bright yellow warning sign stood by the curb. Federal communication line, do not disturb. I smiled, shaking my head. Maple Glen was peaceful again, but every time I hear static on a radio, I remember that Tuesday, when an HOA president with gardening shears nearly took down an entire police department.